Hey guys, it's Miss Dweck coming at you from day 50-something of quarantine. On this week's mini lesson, I want to celebrate the fact that I currently have 3 subscribers on my YouTube channel. What? You know, teachers are always like, oh, being a YouTube influencer is not a valid career. Look at me now, guys. Maybe I'll do a giveaway soon. Who knows? This week, we are going to be talking about the difference between description and analysis. And in order to do that, we're going to go through this lovely PowerPoint. I suggest that you have in front of you a piece of paper and a pen, maybe your notebook or your binder if you have your English class binder. It would be really good to just take notes on the definitions of description and analysis, maybe with the examples. Of course, you can always pull the PowerPoint up and have it for you later. But when you're doing your assessment, the description versus analysis Google form, you're going to have to find quotes from the letters that you read in order to sort of say, like, this is description and this is analysis. So it might be helpful for you to take notes. That being said, I want you to imagine that you are recommending a really great new TV show that you've been watching. What would be the difference between describing the show and analyzing the show? How might you do each one? What words might you use for description and what words might you use for analysis? If you're like me, you know that describing the show is sort of telling what it's about. Who are the main characters? What are the plot points? Like, what is generally what happens in the show? When you talk about analyzing the show, you're talking about what the show means. Why do you really like it? What does it do for you? Maybe you're like, every time I'm sad, I watch the show and then I'm happy, right? That's analyzing sort of like the meaning of the show. Maybe you're talking about motifs. The show is about, doing what it takes in order to survive, right? That's like a theme statement, and that would be analyzing it. So in that vein, description talks about what something is, how it functions, how it looks, or how people use it. It's, I don't want to say basic, but it is sort of talks about the 5 senses. So the example here says, my grandmother's house was small, with tight corners and tiny bedrooms. The walls were decorated with pictures of us and blue eyes made of glass. These blue eyes were meant to ward off evil and protect her family. Notice that I'm describing maybe the feeling of my grandmother's house. I'm talking about what it looked like. If I wanted to enhance this description, I could use my other senses. I could talk about what it smelled like. So maybe like the aroma of food cooking. I could talk about feelings, right? So like actual physical things that I might touch there, right? Like, what did the sofa feel like? What did the carpet feel like? What are things that I remember? I could talk about tastes that I really remember from when I was there, right? Maybe there was always a snack there, and that's like something that I can bring in. Using your senses is a really good way to enhance description. I have just some really hilarious GIFs here. Slimy yet satisfying, right? That's describing the way that the grub tasted. Okay. So analysis is a little bit different because it takes description one step farther. It talks about what something does, what it means, how it connects to the things around it, or why it's important or significant. So I'm going to continue with the example about my grandmother's house and talk about just sort of like what it meant to me. Like, okay, got pictures on the wall, cool, right? Why is it important? What does it mean? So the example, after my parents got divorced, my grandmother's house became a place of safety. Nothing changed there. The pictures on the wall stayed the same. The TV was always turned to Telemundo. Her knitting basket was always found in the corner next to the sofa. At a time when everything felt unsure, I could count on my grandmother's house to provide me with certainty. Like the blue eyes on the wall, the consistency of her house protected me. So I've described the house. I've talked about the pictures. I've talked about the blue eyes on the wall. Now I bring up this motif of protection, of consistency. That's me analyzing it, right? I'm connecting it to my parents' divorce, and I'm talking about the significance, right? In a time when everything was changing, these were the things that brought me comfort. I've analyzed it. Here's somebody analyzing something on a clipboard. So in the short of it is description provides the what, and analysis provides the why. Any good piece of writing is going to use both description and analysis to inform the reader as to what they're discussing. Oop, found a typo, I'm gonna have to fix that, and why it's important to them. Specifically, the letters of recommendation that we're going to be reading this week use both of them. These letters are people recommending something that is really important to them, but they think maybe is like undervalued or underappreciated. You'll see that the topics are like sort of random, like washing the dishes or stuffed animals or napping on the subway, doing karaoke at home, floating in an ocean, right? These are the topics. They're sort of random, but you can count on the reader to describe like what they're doing, or sorry, on the writer to describe what they're doing, and then to provide analysis for you of why it's important. So here's the whole thing together. You'll see that the description of my grandmother's house gives the reader a feeling, a mood, right? You see that it's sort of small. It might be a little cramped, but you can also sort of have a cozy mood. There are pictures and instruments of protection. All of these things will help develop the mood of the piece. Then I add context to transition to my analysis, right? So I'm gonna go from the description to the analysis, but in order to analyze it, I need to tell you why, right? I need to give you a little bit of context. Then I have my analysis where I explain the importance of the things in my grandmother's house. The pictures are important not because they're of us, but because they don't change, right? And if the motif of this, one of the motifs in this is change, then what I'm looking for is consistency, right? The blue eyes on the wall give protection, and they're important also because they don't change, right? So I'm thinking about the importance of things staying the same. So for this week, we are going to be exploring a New York Times series called Letters of Recommendations. Every week they publish new ones. Sometimes they're by famous authors, sometimes they're sort of by regular people. And the one thing I want to say about these is that they're not like for children, right? This is something that's published in the New York Times, and it's written like at an adult reading level. That's not to say that you can't read them. It just means to say that like the vocabulary might be a little advanced and you might really have to like slow down and take your time reading them. But I do think that they're worth it. Once you pick 2 letters of recommendation to read, and again, you can pick any of them. I've sort of like differentiated them by which ones I think might be the hardest or might be the easiest, but you should pick ones that you're interested in. And if it's a little bit too difficult, then you can pick another one and see, you know, if that one fits better. But definitely pick ones that you're interested in because I think it'll make the experience more fun. We do suggest if you have a printer and you're able to print it out and annotate it. If not, they are in PDFs, and I'm pretty sure you can annotate on Adobe Acrobat. You can like leave Post-it notes. You can also convert it to a Word doc or something like that and annotate it there. There are 2 Google Forms for this week. The first one is just you sort of finding places where the author describes something and then finding another place where the author analyzes that thing. That's it. You're going to do that for 2 of the letters. And then the other Google form is sort of just picking 1 letter and talking about the meaning of the thing that the author is recommending. So if the author recommends floating in the ocean, you're just going to say like, well, what does the author actually find important or meaningful about floating in the ocean? So you're going to sort of do your own analysis of that. And remember, so at the end of this unit, this is going to be, we're going to start working on this at the beginning of June. You're going to be writing your own recommendation for something in your life. You can either write a letter of recommendation Or you can write a poem, a poetic ode. And next week we're going to be talking about odes. Start thinking about topics that you might want to write about. You can definitely write about something that's underappreciated or undervalued in your own life. You can also write about things that maybe you really miss, that you didn't think you would miss, about like the regular world, right, before social distancing. Or you can write about something that you've maybe discovered while you're social distancing that you didn't think you would like as much as you did. So you're going to be like recommending something to other people that is meaningful to you. That is it for me. Please let me know, or Ms. Rosen know, or Mr. Kniesel know if you have any questions. We'll be happy to meet with you, to chat with you. All work for this week is due on Friday, not Sunday like last week. So make sure that you get those due dates in. Please just like send me an email. Let me know how you are. And like and subscribe. Oh my God, what's my life? I love you guys so much, and I really hope to see you all soon. Come to office hours. Come hang out. Bye.